The San Francisco 49ers have won 6 straight games and are now 12-4 and in a fight to be the #1 seed in the NFC. So in today's video, I want to talk about the turnaround of the San Francisco 49ers and why I legitimately believe they might be the championship favorites. Make sure you guys hit the like and subscribe button if you guys are new. Let's hop into it. So yeah, at one point this team was 6-4. They lost to the Los Angeles Rams, and since that day, they've been one of the best teams in football. Obviously, that Week 10 game was very disappointing. You got beat up by a really good Rams team. This is, of course, when Mac Jones was still here, but ever since Brock Purdy has returned, this offense and this team in general has just completely flipped the script. 41-22 versus Arizona, 20-9 versus Carolina, 26-8 versus Cleveland, 37-24 Tennessee, 48-27 Indianapolis, and most recently 42-38 versus Chicago. Now, I do want to say this. These stretch of games here have not been against the highest level competition. The Arizona Cardinals are on their backup quarterback, and they are a bad football team. The Carolina Panthers are one of the most inconsistent football teams in the league. Cleveland is starting a rookie quarterback, has a bad offensive line, has a bad receiving core. They're just not a good football team. Tennessee, bad football team. Indianapolis was starting Phillip Rivers. Chicago, however, was kind of the game where it sort of told me, yeah, the 49ers are a legitimately good football team. Because sure, the defense couldn't stop a lick out there versus Chicago, but their offense scored points after points after points after points. When you look at this stretch of games here, this 6-game stretch, 4 of the 6 games, they have scored over 37 points. This offense is on fire, and they're not even at 100% because George Kittle has been missing time, and they don't even have Brandon Ayuk, which, I mean, that has been a whole year type of thing for this team. Kyle Shanahan deserves a ton of credit. He has, in my opinion, played this team into a legitimate championship contender spot, and I also believe he should probably win Coach of the Year with how great he's been this year. But let's go ahead and do a little bit of a deep dive into the offense, and then let's talk about what's going on defensively, and then we'll kind of talk about the future, or what their chances of looking like in the playoffs, stuff like that. Well, let us go ahead and begin here with the statistics. Now, I do want to say these numbers are from the entire year, not just within the 6-game stretch, but they do rank top 10 in points per game, yards per game, touchdowns per game, red zone scoring percentage, third down conversion rate, fourth down conversion rate. They're 5th in rushes per game, 13th in rushing play percentage. They do need to work on their yards per rush. This is not a very efficient running football team, but we have seen a lot of teams just continue to run the football, even if it's not the most efficient thing in the world. Passing the football, though, they rank 4th in yards per game, 5th in quarterback sack percentage. They're one of the lower teams in interception thrown rate. It's just been a really good passing attack this year. And then defensively, again, kind of middling numbers here. 13th in opponents' points per game, 19th in opponents' yards per game, 20th in opponents' touchdowns per game. They're good enough against the run, but against the pass, they're not really great, especially they're really bad at getting after the quarterback. Again, we'll talk about the defense here in a little bit. I want to focus a bit more on this offense. I think if you're going to talk about this San Francisco 49ers offense, you have to start with a guy who, in my opinion, maybe should be in the MVP conversation a little bit more. I obviously think that Drake May or Stafford will win the award, but Christian McCaffrey deserves 1000% a nomination. He should probably be 3rd place because he has been remarkable this year. Let's not forget, last year he had a bizarre, I think, an Achilles injury, not a torn Achilles, but some sort of Achilles soreness or something along those lines, and it held him out for basically the entire season. He only played a handful of games, and the question coming into the season was, did McCaffrey still have it? Was McCaffrey still going to be good enough to handle a massive workload, to be used as a receiving threat, all that sort of stuff? And then the other question is, okay, even when he does return, and if he does look good, can he stay healthy? Can he put together a full 16, 17 game season? And well, yeah, the answer to that question has been yes. And it's crazy to think about his usage after an injury-riddled season and frankly an injury-riddled career. His usage is probably at maybe an all-time high, and yet he looks 100% out there. He looks so healthy and he's playing so well. Again, look at these numbers here. 303 carries, 1,179 yards, 10 touchdowns. He also leads the team in receiving yards. 122 targets, that leads the team, 96 receptions, that leads the team, 890 yards, that leads the team, and 7 receiving touchdowns. That's tied for 2nd with George Kittle. It's remarkable what this guy is doing. It is truly remarkable. And I should have showed you guys this a second ago. 705 of the 890 yards are yards after catch. That tells me they are finding ways to get this guy the ball in space with an opportunity to make a guy miss, and more often than not, Christian McCaffrey has done so all year long. When you look at the definition of MVP, most valuable player, I don't think there's a more valuable player to their team, to their respective unit, than Christian McCaffrey. You take McCaffrey off this offense, I don't know if this offense is half as good as what it is. Like, yeah, Brian Robinson's a good young player, but Brian Robinson cannot replicate the same things that Christian McCaffrey can do. And hell, look at what happened last season. Yes, there was more injuries outside of Christian McCaffrey, but CMC was the catalyst of the offense. And last year, that was a 4 or 6 win ball club. I think 6 win team last year. And that was primarily because they didn't have Christian McCaffrey. You look at this offense this year where Brock Purdy has only played in 8 games. Mac Jones has played in 11 games. George Kittle has only played in 10 games. Ricky Pearsall has only played in 9 games. Brandon Ayuk has played in 0 games. Juwan Jennings has missed a few games as well. And yet this offense still ranks in the top 10. Now, obviously, you can give a ton of the credit to Mac Jones, which 100% you should. But they had Brock Purdy basically healthy the entire year last year, and that was a 6-win ball club. You add back in Christian McCaffrey, who's now healthy this year, and all of a sudden they're a 12, maybe even 13-win team. I don't think that's a coincidence. I truly do believe that Christian McCaffrey is just that valuable to this team because of all the different ways you can use him. He's, in my opinion, the most unstoppable offensive weapon in the league, more so than even like a Jackson Smith and Jigba, or maybe Puka Nacua might be up there with him because he's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, you don't see Puka Nacua running the football out there. Christian McCaffrey's used in the run game and the passing game and has almost or over 2,000 total yards this year. I think the MVP conversation should probably be going to Christian McCaffrey, but it's a quarterback award. He'll probably win Offensive Player of the Year, and rightfully so. But outside of Christian McCaffrey, I think there's a lot of other flowers you can definitely give out. Let's start off with Mac Jones, who, in the absence of Brock Purdy, put together a pretty stellar stretch of games. He kept the team afloat. He wasn't perfect, but he made a lot of plays out there. Through all the adversity, through all the rotation, the rotating pieces in the receiving core, there was a point in time where Kendrick Bourne was going out there dominating football teams. Despite the fact the defense has been up and down, Mac Jones did a really good job of stabilizing this offense. Obviously, he's not as good as Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. But Mac did a great job of sort of stabilizing things, getting the team going, keeping the team heading in the right direction. He had 13 touchdowns, 6 picks, and again, stabilized this team during a period of time where you could have seen this team completely collapse. Outside of those guys, shout out Juwan Jennings. He's definitely working his way into a nice payday. Kendrick Bourne has been really solid for this team, especially through the injuries. George Kittle, when healthy, has been remarkable this year. It's just the injuries have slowed him down this year. And the offensive line has actually been pretty solid this year, all things considered. Again, we talked about the numbers earlier. The quarterback sack percentage is 4.2%, which is the 5th best in football. Now, they're not the best running the football, and that's something they're going to have to improve upon in the future, but keeping your quarterback upright is very important, and they've only given up 24 sacks the entire season to both Mac and Brock, so I can't be mad at it. Obviously, this offensive line needs some improvement into next year, but I'm not too mad at what this offensive line has been this year, especially at pass protection and keeping my quarterback upright. Now, when it comes to the defense, look, we got to start off with the obvious thing here, and without Fred Warner and without Nick Bosa, that takes away your 2 best players arguably on your football team. Maybe besides, like, it's McCaffrey, Trent Williams, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Brock Purdy. Like, those are your main superstar guys, and I might miss somebody here and there, but those are your main guys. You take away 2 of them, both of them on the defensive side of things, and it completely changes your units. This has been one of the worst teams at actually getting after the quarterback. Again, they are dead last in sack percentage with 3.13%. Their highest sack leader is Clelin Ferrell with 4, followed by Bryce Huff with 4. And somehow in 3rd place, despite only playing in 3-ish games, is Nick Bosa with 2. This team just can't get after the quarterback. They just don't have the pieces. Michael Williams, who I was not a big fan of for this team, but I didn't hate his fit next to Nick Bosa. He's just not a pass rusher. He's very much so a solid run defender, which they're actually really good at. This front 7 is really good at getting after the run game and slowing things down. But teams are having all day to throw the ball out there because they just don't have a consistent pass rush. I mean, Bryce Huff has been fine. He's done some nice things. Same with Clelin Ferrell. But without your main guy in Nick Bosa, you don't have that go-to guy, the guy that takes on the best tackle, the guy that takes on double teams and opens things up for other guys to find success. it makes life very difficult for this front seven to get after the quarterback. That all said, though, I do want to make good mention as to the guys that are stepping up in the place of Fred Warner, because the linebackers this year have actually been pretty good. Like, despite not getting Fred Warner for a big chunk of the season, despite drafting Nick Barton and not getting a ton from him, you are getting really good production from D. Winters, who leads the team in tackles. You are getting good production from Tatum Bethune. Like, you're getting good production out of those guys, and something about Robert Saleh, man, he just knows how to get linebackers to ball it out. I mean, look at what he did with the New York Jets with Jamien Sherwood and Quincy Williams. I don't think it's a coincidence that the second Robert Saleh leaves the Jets, those guys are playing their worst season. I think Robert Saleh just did an amazing job at elevating the talent that is in the linebacking core, and he's doing just that with Tatum Bethune, who was a 7th round pick in 2024. And if you're looking at his PFF grade, and again, PFF grades are not the say-all be-all, but 63.7 overall grade, 84.6 run defense grade, and 53.0 coverage grade. And it's not like he's just played 15 snaps. He's played 445 snaps this year. It's remarkable, man. Like, what this guy can do, I think he is arguably up there for one of the best defensive coordinators in football. And by the way, if you're curious, this is D. Winters, 60.8, 62.3, 62.8, 964 total snaps. This guy's a workhorse. But yeah, man, I think Robert Saleh has done a great job with this linebacking core. They've been great. Without Fred Warner, Fred Warner is the best linebacker in the NFL when he's healthy. He's an absolute freak out there. Without him, you have D. Winters and Tatum Bethune just absolutely balling out this season. Without a consistent pass rush, they have been relying on these guys to make a lot of plays, and they have. Again, you got to give credit to this front seven for being really good against the run. Guys like Alfred Collins have gotten better throughout the year. Artur Gross-Matos, Clelin Ferrell, Kalia Davis, Kevin Givens, all those guys are doing a good job against the run, but, you know, again, they leave a lot to be desired as pass rushers. In terms of the secondary for this team, I would say you're getting relatively solid production out of these guys. Again, I don't want to sit here and overreact to some of these games. You look at the numbers in terms of their overall stats this season. They rank 15th in opponents' yards per pass, 25th in opponents' passing yards per game. I do think it's fair to mention, though, that teams are passing the ball a lot more than they are running the football. So I think obviously the numbers are a little bit higher. And in defense of the secondary, the front five or front seven can't get after the quarterback. So it's going to leave those quarterbacks a lot more time to dissect your defense. And this is a younger secondary that, you know, they're going to have to hold up for a lot longer because their pass rush isn't going to get home so quickly. So while I do believe they probably need to upgrade the secondary and get a few more superstars and players if they can afford to, I think, personally speaking, the more urgent need would be getting more pass rush juice to pair with Nick Bosa heading into next season, because Renardo Green, Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa, Diamondre Lenore, Upton Stout, there's a lot of like youth in this secondary, and they're good football players, but you have to find a way to get after the quarterback, because it's kind of like a mutual relationship in a way, where the pass rush gets home, the secondary can, you know, be a little bit looser, right? But if the pass rush isn't getting home, then the secondary has to be that much better and that much more tight, and that's just difficult, right? If you can't get home, secondaries are eventually going to bust. So in terms of this defense, though, for who they are, without Nick Bosa, without Michael Williams, he's on IR, without Fred Warner, I still think they're doing a damn good job. This is a good defense that, look, in the postseason, they're going to have to outscore teams. Like the Los Angeles Rams are going to be able to score on this defense. The Chicago Bears can score on this defense. Teams will be able to score on this defense. But with the way this offense is playing, and I think there's enough pieces defensively to get a few stops, this is a scary football team. Now, when you look towards the future, right, we just talked about the offense, we just talked about the defense. I think it's important to talk about, like, what do the postseason look like? Well, we have to first off start off with this. The Niners are going up against the Seattle Seahawks for what will end up being for the #1 seed. If San Francisco wins, they'll have the tiebreaker. They will have a first-round bye, which would be massive for this team. To get Ricky Pearsall 100%, to get Trent Williams back up to code, get George Kittle right. You know, further along, Fred Warner, see if you can, you know, work Micah Williams and all these guys, Nick Martin, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not sure what their injuries are, but they are on IR. Maybe you could get them and all those guys back and healthy 100% to give yourself a better better chance in the postseason. Obviously, also to give Christian McCaffrey more time to rest his legs and get to, I'm sure he's not 100%, but maybe get back to being at 100%. You get those guys that extra week off, I think that could do wonders for them. Now, if you lose that game, you're still going to end up being the 5th seed, I would believe, and I think that would set you up for a matchup versus one of the NFC South teams, Carolina or Tampa Bay. And I'm sorry, I think that would basically be close to a first-round bye. You would win those games, but again, your body's going to go through the pain. You got to go through that game. It's a pretty important game for San Francisco versus Seattle. I think Seattle's a great football team. I think they're going to give San Francisco a true run for their money. But San Francisco's been there. They've done that. This is an experienced football team that has some defensive issues, but man, they're so good offensively that they can score with any team out there. And there's not a team in either the NFC or the AFC that, in my opinion, is by far and away better than other football teams, right? For the longest time, the thought process was Philadelphia would run it back, Kansas City would run it back. Both those teams have been inconsistent this year. Kansas City is obviously not even in the playoffs. Philadelphia's offense is one of the worst in the league. Then the other one was like the Los Angeles Rams. Well, they're just lost back-to-back games, and they're showing a little bit of some vulnerability, right? Then you look at Seattle. You know, what does Seattle look like with Sam Darnold deep into the postseason? We'll have to wait and see about that one. Green Bay has Jordan Love. They have an explosive offense. You never know with them. Chicago obviously just gave San Francisco a true threat out there and almost won that game. So yeah, there's some good football teams out there, but I think if you were to put up the odds, I would imagine San Francisco would be favored in a lot of those games. I think the Rams would probably be favored and maybe Seattle, but I think San Francisco might be favored in every other matchup though. I think I would favor them over Philadelphia. I would favor them over Green Bay, etc., etc. So if they do get the first round bye, and if they do get favorable matchups, I think there's a really legitimate chance they could be in the championship. And you get yourself into the championship and you look at the other pond over there in the AFC, and it's like Denver, they're good, but they're beatable. New England, they're good, but they're very young, especially at quarterback. I think they're beatable too. There's Buffalo. That defense can't stop a lick. I think that would be a back and forth offensive game. I think San Francisco could win that one. I'm trying to think, some other football teams. There's some good teams in the AFC, but I think San Francisco will be favored against a lot of those teams. Jacksonville's really good too, by the way. Keep an eye out on them. I just did a Jacksonville video. They're nasty this year. But yeah, I think this San Francisco team is set up for a promising playoff run. Whether they win this game versus Seattle or lose this game, obviously you'd prefer to win. You win the game, you get an extra week off, you get more guys healthy, you can work on your schemes, you get more time to prepare. All that sort of things could be a very good thing for San Francisco. And obviously home field advantage the entire way. That would be sweet. But even if they were to lose the game, you would win the first round game and you'd set yourself up nicely for a second round matchup. I think San Francisco is in for a very promising playoff run. I think they're one of the more experienced teams with the best coaching staff in football. I think you have an offensive player of the year in Christian McCaffrey. I think you have the coach of the year in Kyle Shanahan. I think you have, if they had a defensive coordinator of the year, I'd probably give it to Robert Saleh. He's been nasty this year. You have promising players defensively. You have Christian McCaffrey at 100%. You hopefully will be more healthy in the postseason. They have a chance. San Francisco fans, you let me know in the comment section below. What's your percentage? Give yourself a percentage as to, how likely you are to win a championship this year. Right now, I'd probably put it at like 15, but that's a pretty good chance, especially when you break it down between all the other teams out there. Let me know in the comment section below. And if you guys enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button. And I love you guys. Peace.